Are you going to do like an intro, or is it just going to be like a roll into it, or what?
Tell you what, let's both try to do intros. Then editing, I'll just use mine and erase yours.
Yeah, okay.
Hey everyone, I'm Chad. This is Heath, and tonight we're going to be talking about a Clockwork Orange. Here's a matching video. Google's like, can I be in this video?
Oh, there's a skull right here because I'm dead. Hey, how's it going? My name is Heath. This is Chad. Today we're going to be discussing Stanley Kubrick's 1971 film, A Clockwork Orange. If you like the video, hit the subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, and leave a message. See what you'd like to see in our next videos.
Clockwork Orange.
Yeah, as is customary when it happens.
Oh, you got notes.
Yeah, but it's like I tried to take the same approach as Videodrome. I feel like that served me well. I feel like I was more engaged, more not as focused on like what does it mean? What does it all mean, Basil? It was like let's just watch the video, and thankfully it was pretty straightforward. This film, this is my second viewing, with the first one having been when I was 17.
Yeah.
And I was reading the book, and a buddy of mine and I both had an interest in watching it, and he got a copy of it. And I went to like get a burn DVD from him. He's like, I don't think this movie is for you. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, I think it's too much for you. And I was like, yeah, okay, sure. So then I found myself a copy on my own and watching. I was like, he was right. It is too much for me. I watched it like right after Requiem for a Dream or something. So I was like empty on top of empty. But this one was more of God, I can't say an enjoyable watch, but it was definitely, I mean, it's for all intents and purposes, I mean, it's fun. Some parts, it's fun to watch, but anyway,
Especially
it was your film, so
especially the boobies.
Yeah, there's actually a great collection of tits in this movie.
And variety too, like not just big ones, not just small ones, not just the perfectly shaped Michael Bay style boobs, just a wide smattering variety of them.
Oh, and the ones when they're like presenting him to like the board or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, and like from below. Anyway, we're turning into perverts. Ultra violence.
So this is a movie that, like, we frequently talk about this. I don't know if any of the conversations we've had have made it in, but how the protagonist is not always the good guy.
Right.
Movies like Fight Club, movies like The Wolf of Wall Street, where just because they're the main character doesn't mean that they're hoping that the audience will look to them and be like, okay, let's emulate that. That's what I want to be. Alex, very much as he puts it, the humble narrator.
Yeah.
Malcolm McDowell, spectacular start to a spectacular career.
A very long career.
Very long career.
Yeah.
Just a brilliant character. And I mean that both in he's well written, but also that the character himself is very intelligent, much more intelligent than you would expect from a movie about teenage gang being violent. And
yeah, I mean, what gang members do you know listen to Ludwig van?
I was never in a gang, but I've always listened to Ludwig van.
I'm more of a Wolfgang Amadeus. That's me.
I'm definitely much more of a Mozart guy than a Beethoven guy, but Uh, Gary Oldman would probably dislike me for that, but I do love Beethoven, and I think Beethoven's a very large part of this movie. Um,
Yeah, he's everywhere, and in his music is woven into so many parts. Even a doorbell, like, is
yeah,
woven into, like,
yeah.
it's odd,
I
but
think I don't think it's odd at all. I think it's important because
well, yes,
I think that a lot of the movie centers around the similarities and perceived differences between Alex, a gang member, a ruffian who basically rapes and robs and beats up people for fun. And, even culminating in the murder of the Catwoman, um, all to get enjoyment. How he loves Beethoven the same way that the writer who, he rapes his wife in front of him and gets beat up and winds up, even a champion for Alex's freedom, also loves Beethoven.
right.
While in jail, the governor is impressed by Alex's Beethoven statue. But I think there's good reason for that. I think a lot of the things that the movie focuses on are showing how few differences there are between the childish ruffian Alex and the society that shuns Alex. There is no one in this movie who is free from that kind of sin, I guess, as they put it in the movie. From the first people he beats up, they are some guys in an opera house raping a woman, but they are in an opera house, and while they are gangs, they are fighting, those guys are literally dressed as Nazis. They're a gang, and Alex has a gang, the Droogs are a gang, but they are doing this violence in a place of art, and it really feels staged. The fight is less about violence and much more about fun. Like, there's no reason to beat these guys up. There's no.
It's really reminiscent of pro wrestling.
Yeah,
Like,
this
you
fight
have,
has.
like, one of the gang members on the stage and, like, jumps down, and then you've got chairs being busted on heads, and I think Alex even comes in and, like, does a drop kick, which is such an unnecessary way to
Yeah,
fight. And the dude's holding, like, a table in front of him, so it's definitely theatrical.
yeah, and because of how physics works, drop kicks are incredibly ineffective.
Yeah,
They are not, like, you do a great disservice to yourself and your goals when you drop kick someone. But yeah, the whole fight feels very staged. And then they beat up an old man who's just singing, and they love his singing. They applaud him. They are enjoying their time with him, but they also enjoy beating him up. Um, they go steal a car and all get in and go driving around, and then they go break into a home and rape this woman in front of her husband, all while singing a song from a famous musical, Singing in the Rain.
which was improvised. I mean, I definitely think it fits with the theme that you're driving
Yeah.
home, but
Yeah.
um, like Kubrick said that the scene just felt stiff. That's what I read. That he, while they were, like, rehearsing it and shooting it, it just felt like stifled. And he
Yeah.
told Malcolm McDowell to just do something, and he started singing in the rain, and it is a
I would say that, like, I would love to say that that's probably true, with the only exception being that the entire plot hinges on him singing in the rain. Because later on in the movie, the only reason the writer figures out that it's him is because he sings Singing in the Rain.
Right, which
And
may have been added later because it's different from in the book.
sure, it's different from in the book. There's a lot of subtle changes from the book, like in in the book, he's sworn off of all music
Hmm.
because all music makes him sick. And in the movie, it's specifically the ninth. In fact, they even ask him, like, so all music? And he's like, no, no, just Beethoven's ninth. And it's really weird to make that change. But that's, I think, in large part because the movie is really going to focus on Beethoven. Um,
I mean, the ending is also different,
yeah,
wildly different.
but I think that the ending change is definitely feeding into the message, uh, which is that the same urges that Alex has are the same urges that everyone else has, and there are no different. Some are state sanctioned, some are not. To the point where, like, towards the end of the movie, the Droogs themselves have become cops.
Yeah.
That's not coincidence. It's, yeah, those urges you have, they're the same urges cops have, except cops, it's justified because they're cops, I guess. So we don't condone violence. We think violence is awful. Unless you're a cop, then it's different. The same thing with sex. Want of excessive sex is, it's just crude, it's childish, except unless it's art, where you have the Catwoman has, these paintings all over of essentially women showing off their vaginas. She has a statue which is undeniably a large penis.
Which she is killed by.
Right.
She's killed by a penis.
And she is also swinging around a statue of Beethoven. Sex and violence and Beethoven are all connected. They are the same things. So getting rid of sex and violence gets rid of art as well, gets rid of religion. And, like, even Alex kind of plays into that, where he's like, I started reading the good book and people, or the big, he goes, the big book. And he's like, and it seems really great. There's tons of sex and violence in this. I love it. And you think about it and you're like, not to rag on my church at all, but, like, when I hear, in small groups, people talking about, man, it would be nice if all these sinners got these awful things happening to them. And you know, what are you talking about? That's not at all what we should be thinking. In, the Bible and in religion, a lot of religions feel that way. Is that, wouldn't it be nice if all this violence and awful things happen to the people we don't like?
I mean, it's called going Old Testament on someone for a reason,
Mhm.
or medieval.
I mean, the
So
Holocaust is literally that, like, personified. It's the bad things happening to the people we don't like.
yeah. Um, so when I was reading Clockwork Orange in school. I mean,
Yeah.
I wasn't reading it for school. Anyway, I was studying Russian. I was learning Russian. So as I'm reading it, I'm like, these are Russian words. They're they're misspelled, but or they're phonetically spelled. Uh,
Phonetically spelled, right.
and in one case, it's two words because horosho is one word, but horror show is obviously two. So like Droogs means friends, Malinki is small, horror show is good, Devochka
Malchik.
is a girl.
Yeah,
Um,
Malchik is boy.
yeah, Maloka is milk. Um, so I was interested in that and read up a little bit. So this is like 10 years or 15 years ago I read.
Yeah.
But I think I remember Burgess saying that he thought the book was just, it was awful. He thought he hated it. And he did it, I think, to fulfill a contract or something. And it's funny to me that it's gained this notoriety and this following. And it's literally a book that he was like, this is like actual crap. Like it's not good. Um But I don't know how accurate that is, or if he was just playing it cool. Like, yeah, it's not even good. I didn't even try. It
I
just
don't
kind of
know.
came out, whatever.
I think in a large part the movie fed into why people read the book. Um, because the movie has a point and it can take that story and go, okay, here's a point we can tie in with this. And while the book, I think, was really one note, very small, did not go very much into detail, just basically saying those things are tied together: sex, violence, and music, or sex, violence, and art. um, they're all the same urges. I think the movie went a lot further, in talking about the institutionalizing of those things.
Yeah.
For example, when Alex is being shown off as having passed the Ludovico treatment, the lighting in there is this like tunnel spotlight, which is very similar to the street light when they're beating up the old man on the street. It's practically the same thing, and they're clapping as the actor performs. They clap when the man sings, and then they beat him up for fun. The audience is watching as Alex is beaten up, and then they applaud him getting beaten up.
Mm-hmm.
Those same people are just like Alex and his droogs. And if you notice, most of the groups in the movie all have droogs. Um, they all have groups. He's not beaten up by a cop. He's beaten up by four cops. He's not, oppressed by a prison guard. It's several prison guards and several inmates. It's several doctors. It's always these groups of 3 to 4 people who do these things to him because they all have their droogs too. This is where we get into a lot of the if you're idolizing Alex, then you really don't understand. You can't idolize Alex and be against the system, because the movie is showing you how much the system is Alex, is what he does. And he doesn't change through the whole movie. This is really fascinating, is he doesn't learn anything the whole
Right.
movie. The whole movie just rotates around him, and the situation changes instead of the main character, which is absolutely brilliant. I think Kubrick was amazing at that. Is that by the end, the Alex we have singing in a bath is the exact same Alex we had at the beginning singing in this house. He's still obsessed with sex. He's still wanting the violence, but it benefits him more to not, until at the end, hey, it benefits me more to be cured of the Ludovico treatment. And we literally have a governor saying, we're going to give you a cushy job. We're going to give you a new house because you're not going to be mad at us for all these things we did to you. And Alex is just eating it up, literally being fed by the government. Hey, we didn't want you to do those things. Now we want you to do those things. Circumstances changed. Alex didn't.
Yeah. He was cured.
Sure. They say so. The only person who doesn't have a team, who isn't in a group, is the priest, which is weird because Kubrick was not a really big fan of religious people, but he's also the only one who sees the inherent flaws, where he's like, you've taken away his choice. He can't choose to be a good citizen now.
Well, okay. But he may not have had a group, but his entire first speech is talking about how if you are condemned, it's fire hotter than any human fire, and your face is peeling off. So that appeals to your nature of not wanting that. So acting as a good Christian is like, well, I don't want to be in hell, so I'll do this so that I can, I mean, is that really free will? Like you have that like, oh, I want to, sleep around and whatever, but if I do, then I might go to hell and I don't really want that. So I'm just going to not do it, but I really want to. It's the same thing.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I mean, it definitely points out religion as one, as Alex loves reading the Bible, picturing himself whipping Jesus. So brilliant cutaway that. Yeah. There's a lot of fetishism of violence. I think we talked about it a few weeks ago that Christians only like two things about Jesus. He was born and he died. And it would be convenient if the whole part where he talked didn't happen to most of them, because
Jesus will be a Republican.
None of them want to hear those words that he says. They just want him to be born on Christmas and die on Easter so that we can, and that's all that was really necessary. He didn't have to talk. We'll just read the Old Testament. We'll be fine. We're doing rum and coke. And I just was like, oh, we're on a break. I want to sneak a piece of candy. Yellow Starburst and rum and coke.
No.
Mm-hmm. Not working at all. So Alex is obsessed with Beethoven. And what I think is interesting is that where he winds up is we have an artist who is old, this writer. The writer loses something of his, like Beethoven lost his hearing. This writer loses the ability to walk. And he becomes obsessed with helping out this boy, only to find out that he doesn't like the boy and instead turns to torture. And then we get this brilliant shot, probably like, okay, so Kubrick is amazing at shots, by the way. Kubrick is famous for this. Every frame of painting style of, if you're shooting it, it needs to look right. It needs to look beautiful and amazing. And so much of this movie is filmed brilliantly. But my absolute favorite shot, probably that Kubrick has ever done, is the old man, Frank, sitting there looking up at the ceiling as they have speakers playing, and you have the strong man behind him kind of leaning while looking at a painting. There's another man who's taking billiard balls and just rolling them across the table. And it's this brilliant shot that, like, he even puts on a cape to where he looks like Beethoven, just sitting there looking up. And it's that same shot of Beethoven that we've been seeing the whole movie, because he is Beethoven. The artist that Alex has been torturing is Beethoven, because the artist that Alex is Beethoven. And the torture is pleasure to Frank. It is the ode to joy. And that feeling of elation, which I absolutely love Beethoven's Ninth, by the way. Not just the famous ode to joy section, but just listen to the whole Ninth. It is brilliant. And I think that this movie encapsulates that moment so well that it could have been a short film, just leading up to that shot, and would have been perfect. But it's a feature-length movie with absolute brilliance, covering the range of, these emotions that the kids feel that we consider immature, to where they're literally wearing diapers, being resonated not just throughout adults, but not just throughout the police, not just throughout the religion, not just throughout the state, but all of it, that it's the exact same urges. The final shots of the movie are Alex in the snow having sex with a woman, and being applauded by Victorian aristocrats.
Right.
That is absolutely, yeah, the mic drop, absolutely perfect, as we have the state sanctioned version of Alex coming out. And because I don't think Alex necessarily has to represent an individual so much as he represents the ideas behind what he is. You know, beauty, art. He talks like he's Shakespearean, and this is not Shakespeare. He's not rephrasing Shakespeare at all. He's just talking with these and thous and using very grand words and, as you said, Russian words, mixing languages the way that adults would pronounce a French word with an accent, like, I think I'll have a breakfast ham and cheese croissant.
Or Giada De Laurentiis doing anything Italian.
Right,
Today
exactly.
I'm gonna have some macaroni.
Right, exactly. And and it doesn't really make them any fancier, but those same things are done by Alex. And he is sophisticated, he is refined, but at the same time, he is treated by the system in the same cruel ways he's treated everyone else. And the system praises itself for having treated him the way he treated other people.
Do you know who plays the strong guy? Julian?
I don't. I didn't look it up.
It's David Prowse.
Really?
Yeah.
That is really interesting. I didn't know that.
6 years later, I mean, he was never known as Darth Vader, but
Star Wars, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, for those that don't know, David Prowse was the actor that was in the Vader costume with his lines dubbed over by James
Woods.
Jones. Yeah, James Woods. And then even the kicker in Return of the Jedi, they didn't use David Prowse with the helmet off. It was another dude.
Right.
So never got the recognition.
But yeah, I didn't know that.
He's been cool with it. But yeah, 6'6". He was a monster.
Very tall, very muscular.
Yeah.
Strong man. I want to learn more. I want someone to give me a great interpretation for the strong man.
Because did his wife die?
Yes, she died of pneumonia about a month after her rape.
Poor girl, poor girl. That guy I always think is Mark Margulies. Every single time I look at it in my head, I don't know if you know who that is.
No.
Did you ever watch Breaking Bad?
No.
So I don't know where to jump back in. I have nothing to add other than the fact that there's a 2001: A Space Odyssey record at the record store. That's it.
Yeah, I did notice that. Yeah.
But yeah, no, he has no arc. The movie just kind of
what happens is he changes based on his circumstance. So we view him and his urges as evil, but then we view him and his urges as the victim. And all the while, they are inextricably linked to classical music and classical art. We view this statue of Jesus sexually because while Beethoven plays, it's pouring over all of these nude parts of Jesus's body. While he's being crucified, the violence, the sex, and the music are all super linked.
And he's jerking it in that scene, isn't he? Because they're showing his face and the music and the parts, and there's an erupting volcano and
I don't think the movie would shy away from him jerking it in front of us. So the reason they cut away, I think, is to show more of what's happening around. And maybe that's why he gets out his snake, is so that he gets it out in order to metaphorically masturbate.
And the snake is on a perch that's coming out of a vagina. which I thought was very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know why. Anyway, I don't know. I have nothing to add.
Try the wine.
Tomorrow,
I love that guy, by the way. His performance is incredible.
Oh, I think it's really over the top.
The movie early on very much condemns the forcefulness of the prison
Overbearing?
system. What?
Overbearing?
Overbearing, yeah. Overbearing criminal justice system that quickly shuffles him through, throws him, this child, which he's a metaphorical child. I mean, they definitely treat him like a kid. He's in high school. He says he's, 17. Being sexually assaulted by his social worker, being shuffled into prison with genuine pedophiles, and most people can agree that all of that's bad. But then we get into our bleeding heart liberal friend, who is a writer trying to defend the rights of the convicted convict that is Alex. So anxious to help this poor soul, but he also wants to write about this poor soul and kind of be seen helping him. Like, he's not like, oh, look, just chill here, we'll protect you, which would be fair. Like, if he wanted to help him, he could totally just help him, but he doesn't. He wants to make an example of him, essentially to be seen doing good. But the second he finds out that what the guy had done was against him, well, he's all aboard the torture train.
Yeah.
Clockwork Orange.
Yeah, that's it for Clockwork Orange.
If you like the video so far, please do leave us a like, subscribe if you want to. I'm still on team don't click the bell. If you don't like the video or can think of a reason why I should start clicking bells, please leave a comment. I do read them.
All 5. So I told you I didn't have a movie selected.
Yeah.
But I have one.
All right.
One that I do not want to watch. I don't want to watch this movie.
But you will.
I'm going to, yes. I will watch it. I am going to watch it. I don't want to watch it because this director's first film I watched, and it made me just cringe, like feel so cringy. Not that it was poorly done. It's just it did not sit well with me. It made me feel very like my skin crawled. So,
I have a feeling I know the director now.
The film we are going to watch is Midsummer.
Yep, that's what I figured.
Hit the like button, subscribe, leave a comment, ring my bell.
No, we do not ring bells here.